Don't drink tea. It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with Meet Australia's Puppet Master with our guy friendly Jordies. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Oh, you got
it happens every time. It's so annoying. I'm sorry for sounding like a broken record, but you guys really need to take the stick out of your collective ass. Every time I do a poll on Patreon for what you guys want me to do a video on, you nerds never choose the funny topic. You always choose some political shit I have no chance of affecting in the slightest. Can you get over yourselves? Today could have been a big investigative piece explaining why Adam Band is the true king of the Bandosphere. Hint, his over-socialised personality is just a cover so he can get away with a massive intercontinental human trafficking ring. No one will suspect any man that wears clear acrylic frame glasses. But there are cracks in his armour. There was actually a time where he got in trouble with his own constituency because he said that he was out with his, quote, hot wife. Look.
Be more measured in your social media posts. This is not a public statement, it's a private one. Have a firm word with your social media advisor or hire one if you're in danger of misjudged rubbish outbursts like this.
Yes, be careful, Adam.
Cause all he said he was out with his hot wife. Gee, what's wrong? What's wrong with that? What is I don't get why anybody would be upset about that. I'm out with my hot wife. Okay. There's nothing upsetting that he said.
Very Trump-ish. People might be able to see through your facade, but you're safe for now because my patrons didn't vote.
What did they get? What is Assange?
For me to expose you, but instead, what did they choose? Julian Assange. Guys, the Iraq War was 10 years ago. Who cares? If history's taught us anything, it's that history's fucking lame. To be clear, that is my very compelling message to the deep state of the United States. Haven't you guys had enough concessions from us? We're buying your submarines, and we haven't even haggled on the price. We bought them at sticker price. Come on, we should have at least gotten this deal. That's right, spend only $368 billion on 8 submarines. That's only $46 billion a sub. And we'll chuck in this genuine white-haired dissident absolutely free.
That's so much money. It's like, dang. 40, I don't know, but I don't know how much subs are supposed to be like. For me, they put that up there, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I guess this is just how much subs cost, like 46 billion or so. That's a normal price, because I don't know anybody who's ever bought a submarine.
Wasn't the whole Ocean Gate thing crazy? Imagine paying $250,000 US to get locked inside a tiny little dark room, sitting room only, in a shitbox piloted by a Logitech controller, only to get liquefied at the bottom of the ocean. And that wasn't even the biggest submarine rip-off of the year, am I right, folks? Yeah, come on, you know what I'm talking about. This all August did. It's highway robbery. If I wanted Australia to have 8 hunks of meticulously engineered billion-dollar garbage, I'd just invite the Kardashians over. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. At least we get to fuck them. In this deal, we're the ones getting fucked. What? What? Come on, you know what I'm saying, right? What would make this deal a little more palatable is if the United States didn't ignore urges from our Prime Minister and opposition leader to bring their obsession with Julian Assange to a conclusion. Peter Dutton, the opposition leader, wants Assange freed. And that guy's more deep state than Mike Pompeo, the former CIA director that floated killing Julian.
So what, do we have Assange is Assange in the US locked up in prison or something?
Assange. I mean, come on. Talk about only Nixon could go to China. I thought maybe Peter Dutton could free Assange. But not even Peter, who I'm pretty sure shaved his eyebrows so he could never give off looks of sympathy because he's that law and order. Not even he could convince the Yanks. Doesn't that show how whipped we are by the Americans? That even when we're willing to make Port Kembla a target for nuclear attacks, a near political consensus in Australia, even from the spookiest of the spooks, isn't enough to convince the Americans to let go of one Australian prisoner. Well, to be fair, Port Kembla's already kind of a nuclear wasteland to begin with, not much of a sacrifice. But you know what is? $368 billion. We could buy like 1.5 million Ocean Gate trips for that. Imagine how many billionaires with Asperger's we could satisfy with that many trips. But instead, we're satisfying all the lame non-billionaires with Asperger's who vicariously live off the idea that Australia has nuclear submarines. Not that they'll ever get to see them, let alone use them. Talk about being cucked. At least when you're a cuck, you get to watch through the cracks of a wardrobe door. All you Redditors obsessed with nuclear subs. You're more likely to see a nuclear bomb than you ever get to go on a joyride with one of those. Can you losers get a life? No, actually, I like the idea of nuclear subs to protect Australia from Chinese aggression. No, you're just scared that if China takes over, Xi's got to do what he did in China here and crack down on video games, which, how boss is this? State media describes them as spiritual opium. Look at this SMH article. Memo to Xi Jinping, if China's kids are anything like mine, fat chance with your 3-hour gaming limit.
China, do they really have a 3-hour gaming limit over there? Is that true? Y'all know these kids nowadays can make a living off of games, right? Can get rich off of games, right? I don't think they should be being discouraged.
I'd love if Xi just filled the Politburo with a bunch of mums from the eastern suburbs. Look, Tibet is just going through its rebellious Buddhist emo phase with a lot of self-immolation stuff. The most we can do is be supportive. These islands in the South China Sea are just so ugly. Memo to Xi, Architectural Digest exists. Now, back to shitting on Redditors. You suck so much. Mike Pompeo is better than you because at least he's consistent. Because I swear to God, the same people coming over nuclear subs are the same ones that lament, why isn't Albo free to sign shit? You know who you are. We all know you're about to comment, oh, there Jordan goes again, building a straw man only to tear it down. Also, I'm a massive pedophile. As is everyone that disagrees with Jordan. You shouldn't take anything I comment seriously. And to that I say...
Friendly Jordies is hilarious, bro.
Why should I take your opinion seriously? You just admitted that you're a massive pedophile. Oh, sorry, there's enough Reddit detours. I think that the Assange case, though, is a really perfect demonstration of Australia's place in the world, which is traditionally described as being a middle power, but as Professor Clinton Fernandez establishes in his new book, is probably better described as being sub-imperial. That is, a sub-imperial power is both sub-imperial and powerful. It is not a client state. It subordinates important aspects of its sovereignty, defence and foreign policy in service of the imperial system while exerting significant power in its own area of influence. Fernandez argues that Australia is a sub-imperial power acting underneath the imperial power of the United States government. You'll always hear Australian politicians, diplomats and bureaucrats utter this line. Australia follows a rules-based international order, which Fernandez explains is a euphemism. If Australia wanted to proclaim it followed international law as set out by the United Nations, it would say that. But Australia actually doesn't defer to international law. Instead, we follow rules-based international order, which is a euphemism for the United States imperial order, in which Australia is a fairly high-ranking and active participant. Among other functions, this rules-based order subordinates state sovereignty to foreign private investors. Most of Australia's largest companies on the Australian Stock Exchange are largely US-owned. We follow the doctrine of comparative advantage, which has stifled us in...
I did not know that. Most of Australia's private companies that are the highest companies on the stock market are actually U.S. owned. But it seems like Australia and the U.S. have a great relationship. Know what I'm saying? Work together, hand in hand, joint at the hip. We got your back, you got our back.
In developing our own domestic industries, as it's preferable under this order to allow foreign companies to buy our raw materials, ship them off to be used in Europe or the USA's burgeoning tech sectors with value-added products sold back to us for a profit. This subordination of what you view as traditional national interests to the interests of foreign investors has led Australia to having a first world economy with a third world economic profile. We have the 13th largest economy in the world, yet we consistently rank in the 80s and 90s for economic complexity. That's the measure of how diverse and developed these industries are.
Jesus.
But that's our role in the sub-imperial order. We are a rich quarry, and it's what policymakers commit to stay on the winning side of the world order. This is all outlined in Clinton Fernandez's book, SubImperial Power. I highly recommend that you read it. But how does this relate to Assange? Doesn't really. I just wanted to waste your time with some education. Just kind of wanted to make these points. It's an important framework to view Australian policy through it.
Why you doing this to us, Jordy? Why are you wasting our time to educate us? We don't like knowledge. We don't like education. We like entertainment.
Basically, again, the limits of Australian sovereignty, which is what Albanese, Rudd and Australian policymakers are hitting when attempting to bring our boy home. We are not equals to the United States. We are part of their empire. They are not part of ours. And this is a fact that is pretty difficult to change, even with benevolent governments in Australia. Take David McBride and Bernard Collaery, two whistleblowers who were both viciously pursued by the former coalition government, which honestly, when the Libs are in power, calling Australia sub-imperial is an understatement. We should just be called America's pay pig. When Labor got in, they dropped the charges against Bernard Collaery, but as of filming, come on, do it in between filming and release, guys. They haven't dropped David McBride's charges, and I'm going to set out a reason for this. Withstanding, there are larger, far more complex reasons than what I'm about to set out, such as the Attorney General intervening in cases like these is pretty unprecedented, but I think sub-imperialism is a factor. Collaery's alleged crime of representing a whistleblower who exposed a Howard-era Australian Secret Intelligence Service operation in East Timor, wherein they bugged the Timorese cabinet in order to rig negotiations.
Oh, Jesus, you're friendly Jordies, you're losing me. You're losing me. You're losing me. I guess because I don't know anything about this topic or anything about this subject. This is crazy. I mean, I'm out here being educated for real. You're educating me for real, Jordan.
Negotiations in Australia's favour over the oil in the Timor Sea. Collaery at most was reckoning with Australia and a country that we exert our sub-imperial influence over, which is East Timor. Thus, when an Australian government got in that respected the rule of law, they were afforded the latitude to drop the charges. But McBride, in exposing what appears to be a culture of war crimes by Australian special forces in Afghanistan, a war we were only involved in as a tribute to the Americans, he was reckoning with the United States government. The USA isn't going to be happy sharing intelligence with Australia if we don't plug our leaks, and thus his prosecution is ongoing. Even in McBride's court case, there was reference to the Australian government blocking some of McBride's evidence that concerned foreign partners. This is kind of similar to Assange. The USA commuted the sentence of Chelsea Manning, the soldier responsible for actually leaking the sensitive material to Assange. Yet the USA is still pursuing Assange, an Australian citizen who has the support of the leaders of Australia's two major parties, at the same time Australia is entering their $368 billion crazy pyramid scheme. Obviously, domestic politics plays into why there is this double standard, but I also believe there is a level of confidence in the USA's ability to punish its own citizens. But to let Assange go would require a Herculean level of forgiving and forgetting from the United States, something that they probably don't have to nor want to do, but probably should.
Forgive and forget, that don't sound like the USA. That don't sound like the America that I know. Forgive and forget, nah.
To help Australian leaders save a bit of face about Australia having free will. Listen to what former Foreign Minister Bob Carr has to say about it. He actually put it pretty forcefully.
Just saw Elvis by Baz Luhrmann on Netflix. Why didn't we catch it on the big screen? Astonishing images, stunning music scenes, indispensable US history, much Australian talent. Don't miss it.
No, wait, hang on to this one.
We've accepted the status of a kind of client state or American territory. I won't say the 51st state. It means we've got even less independence than a US governor would have. Really, we're like Puerto Rico or Guam up against the power of Washington. I don't think we've got out of the habit of having fruitful arguments with the Americans. We're now too coward to think about that. We are loyal to the alliance obligation to the extent of giddy excess, even to the point where, under AUKUS, we're giving effect to the biggest transfer of wealth outside this country that has ever taken place in our history. And in the context of that massive subsidy to US shipbuilding, if we haven't got the confidence to say, Mr. President, I'm returning to this matter, I'm not going to let it go, the Australian public wants me to say to you, if I can put it candidly, as friends, as buddies, as mates, just drop the Assange matter and do it now, because I'm afraid of what will happen to his health in Belmarsh prison.
Now, finally I can get to the main.
I guess if everybody want Assange out of Australia, why don't we just give Assange? Did he leak U.S. military secrets? What? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the situation. I know if it involves America to forgive and forget, that's not the U.S. that I know. Assange finna be stuck in there. But I don't like the fact of like Australia the white friendly Jordies putting it like being under America's thumb and like not being as, you know what I'm saying? Because I love Australia. Seems like a great country. I reacted to so many videos from Australia. Citizens are awesome. The people are awesome. Yeah, I don't want them to be under America's thumb or to become like America. I like Australia the way it is. I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but
the most contentious point of the video, which is, what can you do to help Assange? Not much. I don't know, maybe you can write some Abraham Simpson letters to your local MP, but we now have bipartisan support for bringing him home, and still nothing's happened. But I do have a little idea in terms of asserting Australia's place in the world so the United States won't mess with us. Hear me out. Maybe we should all learn Mandarin. Huh? I don't know, actually, fuck it looks too hard. Assange can take one for the team. Plus, every cloud has a silver lining. Although his WikiLeaks activities were commendable, in my view, he did commit a serious offence with this.
This isn't Assange, it's some loser with lowlights. Now get out of here, you fake Assange. It's time for me to leak the true fate of Atlantis.
No, it's time to see who the heck this is.
Terrence Moonseed.
Yeah, you pesky kids.
Nah, no flow. No flow. Hopefully prison teaches him some. Hang in there, Assange. He's a hero and all that. Like and subscribe, sign up to Patreon so you can vote on the next video, which will be Adam Beck, King of the Manosphere. Come on. Or I don't know, just my staff holding a bomb.
That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy Neal. Out.